Hello and welcome back to the Creative Force. Today we have with us Deborah Singletary. A disclaimer, I've known Deborah for like many, many years. I think maybe it might be like 20 or 30 at this point, right, Deborah? Through the art world?
Through the art world, yes.
So we're both visual artists, paint, collages. Deborah creates fantastic dolls. And that's all I'm going to tell you about Deborah right now. And just one more thing is that she is also an author. We are here today actually to discuss her very new book entitled From Enrage to Outrage to Courage, a nice woman's reckoning with her own rage. So, Deborah, that title
Mm, yeah.
says a lot in itself.
Mm-hmm.
So I read your book.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually finish reading everything, but I read most of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very impressed with it for so many reasons. Some of them is, first of all, the ability for you to be able to speak about what has caused the rage within you. A lot of people have to go to therapy for this, but I feel writing and art is also can be used as therapy. So tell us just a little bit about your book, what inspired you to do it, and how long did it take you to begin writing about it? When did you decide this is what I need to do?
Well, the actual book format that's before you, I've been working on that for about 3 years. And I don't consider myself a writer. And so it seemed almost impossible. But I have a blog and I wrote about Enrage, Outrage, Courage on my blog.
What is the name of your blog?
Um, it's
Okay.
visioncarriers.com is the website. And but it was short and I had so much more to say.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just something that was on my mind often. But the concept I've been working on since the 90s.
Okay.
I was asked to do a workshop for life skills.
Mm-hmm.
It was at a community center. They had a life skills class, and I
Right.
was the teacher. And one of the modules was supposed to be on anger.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I had a title, something like Transforming Anger. And I thought, I don't want to go to these young people and tell them their anger is wrong.
Absolutely.
I didn't want to say count to 10 before you say anything. I didn't think that that would get to the heart of anger.
Right.
And then when I saw that the word courage
Mm-hmm.
had rage, the word rage in
Yes,
it,
yes,
I
yes.
thought, oh, that's it.
Yes, yes.
We want to transform
Mm-hmm.
the energy of anger. We want to transform rage. We don't
Right.
want to get rid of it.
Exactly.
We want to learn to use it as a tool.
It's a form of energy.
Yes, and that's anger is energy. And, one of the things that people in the therapeutic fields might discover is that a lot of people, when they're depressed and, just sort of low
Blase,
voice,
yes.
they
Mm-hmm.
are repressing their anger.
I
And,
like that.
and,
That's a good
and
thought.
what was really enlightening to me was the various ways that anger manifests.
Mm-hmm.
When I began to talk about this process in this book, people would say to me, "Oh, that's so nice that you're getting in touch with your anger." I'm not angry.
Right.
Um, and once someone sent me some melodic music, ooh, to calm me down. That made me angry. But what I discovered is that the energy of anger, when it gets stuck, can manifest as headaches,
Mm-hmm.
bad breath,
Disease.
all kinds of
Mm-hmm.
diseases.
Yes.
And one of the ways that it manifested for me was in lateness.
Oh, okay.
I was one late woman.
I sort of remember that, like way back.
You don't know, Beryl, I really think you're confusing me with someone else. I don't think you know me like that. And by the time I started knowing you, I had that under control. Don't sit here and make me angry and have me go off
Oh
on this
no!
podcast. Ooh.
Please,
Oh, that would be
please.
so much fun. But, actually, this would have been in the 70s.
Okay.
I was on the platform at Prospect Place where I was living and on my way to work.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, I was late.
Mm-hmm.
Only this time I had such an anxiety, and I'm staring up and down the platform as
Mm-hmm.
if my looking would make the train come.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I got in touch with feelings, and that's key.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to myself, you are, you don't feel good. I mean, you're anxious
Right.
and you're suffering.
Right.
That was it. I was like, you are suffering.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was late all the time, so this wasn't even my first time late. And in that moment, I remembered someone saying that you could pray to God about everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was suffering enough to pray on the spot.
Right.
And I said, dear God, I hear you can take care of everything through prayer. Help
That's right.
me.
Right.
Help me.
Yeah, that was an aha moment.
And the help came in the form of a memory. My body's getting hot to remember it.
Mm-hmm.
And the memory had to do with a typical scene in my household. We're getting ready to go to Coney Island in this particular instance. And my mother ultimately had 7, but at this time she has 6 kids. And my father, who was off at work, said, be ready at noon. So, there's a lot of hustle and bustle. And I won't do this over the mic because it would disturb the listening audience.
Mm-hmm.
But my mother is frantic. Where's that? What the fuck is that you got on?
Mm-hmm.
So there was always all of this
Tension.
like tension. There, you named it.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Just getting ready.
I'm just to get ready. And this particular time, noon comes, and my father is still not not there, but it's noon, and the energy goes up. And then at 1:00, my father is still not there.
Oh boy.
And at 2:00, I can remember looking out the window, looking for he had one of those woodies.
Mm-hmm.
And that the cars with the wood on the side.
Yes,
We're talking about the olden
yes.
days.
Station wagon.
And I'm station wagon.
That's
you
right.
you named it. And I'm looking out the window,
Mhm.
and the boys now have gone outside to play.
Right.
And 2:00, no father. 3:00, no father. But maybe about 3:15, my father walks through the door.
Mm-hmm.
Now there's an argument. There's all of that.
Back and forth.
And then my mother says, come on, let's go to Coney Island. Let's go get the boys.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, where's the boys? They're outside.
Right.
Now you got to find the boys. Then you bring the boys in, and they're dirty. And she may have had a temper, but she wanted clean kids. So now you got to change their clothes. So
Right.
by the time we got in the car and made it to Coney Island, it was late.
Right.
And then an hour later, my father says, okay, pile into, come
It's
get
time to
back
go
in the car. It's
home.
time to go home. We like, Daddy, we just got here. And he says, my headlight is broken, and if I'm driving in the dark, I'll get a ticket.
What
So
a
we've got to
bummer.
go. Now, Beryl, Coney Island was like sex to me.
Of course.
Like
course.
the smell of the popcorn and
that's right,
the
that's right.
visuals
Of
and
course,
the
cotton candy.
oh my God. So to have to be pulled away was painful.
Mm-hmm.
But what I understand about myself as a child, I didn't necessarily name things as painful.
Right.
I can't tell you how I felt. And this is it has been an ongoing understanding that I have about myself and other people too. So I
Mhm.
don't have a memory of being angry. I just have a memory of beginning to be late in my adulthood.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it got to the point that people wouldn't want to make a movie date with me because if the movie started at 7 p.m.,
Right. Deborah wouldn't be
7:30, there
Deborah.
you go.
Deborah wouldn't be ready
Yes, and
until eight
Deborah is
thirty.
fine. I'd be, running up to the movie. And so then I understood that that was so painful, that the way I dealt with that pain was to control my own emotions
Mhm.
and decide, and not consciously, Beryl, I never said these words, I will make people wait for me. I never said those
No.
words.
No.
But
No.
emotionally, that's how I handled it. I
Wow.
made other
And when did
people
you come to this realization that that was
when I had that prayer. And,
okay?
and, and, and people prior to that said to me, well, you should lay your clothes out the day before, set the alarm clock an hour, do
Right.
this trick, do this technique. And none of that worked. Getting in touch with my emotions worked. And I was automatically on time
Okay.
because I call it bringing it up,
Mhm.
bringing the pain up or the knowing up or the shadow up so that it can pass
Right.
out.
And move on.
And let me tell you, I'm cured.
Mhm.
Now, was I kind of on time for here?
No, you were on
You
time. You
know,
were
you
no,
know, and
and
you
you would have been
and
early
I
if
would have been
that's right.
earlier if
If
I
you didn't
hadn't been
get
so
turned around.
confused
Well, you know what?
by Brooklyn. Oh my
The way
God.
downtown Brooklyn looks now.
I
If you,
almost didn't
it's
know where I was, and I'm a
exactly,
Brooklyn woman.
exactly.
But for years I've been on this quest to really understand my own
Right. Well, to be
anger
honest
and
with you,
rage.
in reading your book, there was so many similarities to
Mm.
my growing up
Mm-hmm.
and the things that you went through with your mom, I went through with my father.
Mm.
So I think for any of the listeners, um, you will definitely perhaps see yourself in Deborah's
Mm-hmm.
book. And
Mm.
I just love what you did with it. And the piece about hearing, I'll give you something to cry about. Who doesn't remember that?
Oh, what adults will do is they'll laugh at that. They'll hear someone reasoning with their child, and perhaps a mother is saying, "Well, come, Elijah, come over here,"
Hmm.
and they go, "If that was me, my mother would have,
Right. Exactly. And that's just
drag me through the,
right.
she need to pop that kid.
Right.
Oh,
And it's
my mother used to say, I put you in this world. I was like,
that's
you're
it.
ha 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 ha.
And there's
And they
nothing.
laugh
And that's
about
right.
it because we begin to think that what I understand to be child abuse is child rearing.
Right. And it's
And
not.
it is not.
And it's not all right. And
And
it's
it's
not
not all
okay.
right. And it is copying what we learned in slavery in terms of the African
That's
Americans,
right.
but even for people of European descent,
Hmm.
that model of conquer and that model of there's of hierarchy,
Right.
and children are on the lower end of the hierarchy,
Right.
that the whole culture, the whole world culture can stand to reconsider some of its
Right. Like
child
why do yeah,
rearing
and why do you think
practices,
it's all right to beat a child?
or to call them stupid.
Right. Right. Name calling, etc.
Well, that's how you can, the slave masters controlled my ancestors.
Hmm.
They told them they were stupid.
That's right.
And the first time my father, my mother was the more, vocal one, but my father told me I was stupid. And I remember the first time he told me I was stupid, I was a little confused because
Hmm.
fortunately, I knew I wasn't stupid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I learned, oh, my father had only had a third grade education. And to me, my languaging is, good morning, I'm going to the store. But
Hmm.
my father probably heard some kind of intelligence in it that was innate to me, so I wouldn't, think of anything much about it.
Right.
And it hurt him. His
It's
wound,
good.
his
It's good.
wound was
Thank
around
God.
education.
Thank God.
And
Yes.
so what did he do about that? called me stupid.
Well, I was blessed insofar as my great grandmother was college
Yes.
educated. My great grandmother was college educated, and
Mm.
her daughter actually was one of the first reading specialists in Harlem. So
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm.
in my being around them, and then being around me in terms of my family nucleus, they
Mm-hmm.
always encouraged the intellect in me. You know, the part that
Mm-hmm.
liked to read, the part that liked to draw.
Mm-hmm.
So my parents, although they weren't college educated, at least I think they learned something from them. Although
Mm-hmm.
I did get some of the same abuse that you got, in terms of
Mm-hmm.
the way they handled discipline.
Yes.
So
Yes.
and in retort to that, me as a grandmother, and
Mm.
I live close by my grandchildren. My relationship with them, thank God, is just so totally different. Like, I'm
Mm.
not the authoritarian with them. You know, I'm
Mm.
allowed to discuss things with them and talk to them so that
Mm.
they can understand what good
Mm.
behavior is versus, the opposite of that, which
Mm.
is very different from the way I raised my children. Although I
Mm.
wasn't one to necessarily beat them. They got spanked, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't beat them, and I think there's a
Mm-hmm.
big difference
Mm-hmm.
between the
Mm-hmm.
two.
My sense is that children learn through energy,
Yes.
and so the energy of reasoning, it's not necessarily that they understand the words if they're 1, 2,
Right.
or 6. They may
That's
not
right.
understand all of the words, but they understand the energy,
Right.
but they also understand the energy of rage, and they
And
understand
that's the
that there's
difference.
something wrong
Right.
with
And
them.
and that is the difference. That is
Mm-hmm.
the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other one of the other things that you say in your book is, Rage Child brought you to know the source of your power.
Mm. I had been working with the subject of rage. I think I even had the title Enrage, Outrage, Courage. And in another minute, I'd like to define what I mean by those
Yes, please do.
words, by each word. Maybe I should do that now.
Do that now and then go into the source of the power.
So I take enrage to mean that energy of anger which is compounded and compacted and hardened and crusted over to the point that you may not even know it's there.
Wow.
And and that
I could just
often,
visualize that
one of the
too.
symptoms of that is people who are nice.
Okay.
She's so nice. Anger.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah. Yeah.
Often, as I've learned, the opposite of nice is authentic. The
Mm.
opposite of bad is authentic.
Wow. Okay.
So, very often nice people are not authentic, and I'm differentiating nice from kind or compassionate.
Right.
Right, but that nice thing,
Mm-hmm.
oh, you could have this last piece of chicken even though I'm
Mm.
starving and I
That's like
haven't had
that's
it.
also like the nice that you see down south. That
Hmm.
sugary.
Well, some of that is cultural and
But I
and
think a lot of it might be that same kind of
might be,
nice.
girl, might be. And then I understand I've taken outrage to be when you start to get in touch with that anger. And oh, when you do, it comes up. And then you may even say it, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
angry, and you may act out, and you may lash out.